OCN Volume 26 Number 2, February 7, 2026. This podcast presents the audio versions of the articles and columns in this issue of OCN in the order they appeared in the paper. For details, please refer to the articles and columns, which are posted at ocn.me. Palmer Lake Board of Trustees, January 8, 22, and 30, Attorney Krob forced out without replacement. By James Howell and Jackie Burr-Hans. During 3 meetings in January, the Palmer Lake Board of Trustees, PLBOT, struggled to manage the turmoil resulting from a motion by Trustee Beth Harris, confirmed by votes from Trustees 8S Jerka and Roger Mosley, forcing Attorney Scott Krob to leave his post before a replacement could be found. The board settled on a process and schedule to fill the board seats vacated by the resignations of Michael Boyett and Tim Caves. A date was set for the hearings on the Buc-ee's annexation, also known as the Monument Ridge West annexation, but the board could not decide on how and when the annexation should be put to the voters. The board held a public hearing on the eligibility of the Red Rock Acres property for annexation and heard a presentation from the town's new audit company. Krob's departure creates challenges. On December 11, following a lengthy and contentious discussion with Trustee Roger Mosley regarding Krob's service to the town, Krob resigned his position as town attorney, offering to continue on an interim basis until a replacement could be found. Details about Krob's resignation can be found here, https://wp. ocn.me/v26n1plbot. At the January 8 board meeting, Mayor Dennis Stern moved to accept Krob's resignation and his offer to act as interim attorney. He said finding a different interim attorney was not a wise path, because the town would lose continuity and might not be able to find an interim attorney faster than it could find a permanent one. Krob said as interim attorney, he would only work on maintaining legal issues already underway and would not begin anything new. Town Clerk Erica Romero said a request for proposal, RFP, for a permanent attorney had already gone out. Interim Town Administrator Glenn Smith said replacing Krob on an interim basis would lose time, because a new interim attorney would need to come up to speed. Romero pointed out that a new interim attorney would charge by the hour to be familiarized with the town's legal issues and that it would be a hardship for the town staff to go without legal advice. Stern's motion on January 8 passed with Jerka, Trustee Tony Beltran, and Stern voting in favor. Mosley voted no, and Harris was not present to vote. At the January 22 meeting, Harris reversed direction, moving to terminate the town's contract with Krob Law the next day, removing him from his role as interim attorney and directing the town staff to find an interim attorney in 1 week, by January 30. Jerka seconded her motion. Smith pushed back on Harris's motion, saying, "You are showing your inexperience. This town will cease to function in a way you have no idea. This is Bush League. If you sever contact with your attorney, it's a huge mistake." Harris answered that the Colorado Intergovernmental Risk Sharing Agency, CIRSA, the town's insurer, would cover the town legally, adding that the risk of keeping Krob in place was higher than using CIRSA. She said Krob lacks the confidence of the public and gave as an example the fact that Krob did not share his concerns about ambiguities in the language of the initiated ordinance regarding annexation elections with the board in a timely manner. Jerka agreed with Harris, saying he did not have confidence in Krob's ability to give the town the best legal advice. Romero said the town staff had been working hard to meet the board's demands but could not continue to meet them if the staff's resources were being cut from us left and right. She said she could not do her job without legal representation. Beltran pointed out that Smith and Romero were already doing multiple jobs for the town. Harris's motion to remove Krob immediately as interim attorney passed, with Harris, Jerka, and Mosley voting in favor. Stern and Beltran voted no. Following the vote, Jerka moved to authorize Smith to sign an agreement with an attorney recommended by CIRSA to serve on an interim basis. The motion passed with a unanimous vote. At the January 30 meeting, Smith updated the board on his efforts to find an attorney on an interim and a permanent basis. He said he had contacted 16 attorneys, only 2 had expressed interest in serving as the town's attorney on an interim basis. At the board's request, he contacted CIRSA, which told him it did not provide attorneys but gave him a list of 8 attorneys who practice local government law. He contacted every attorney referred to him. He also contacted attorneys recommended by the Department of Local Affairs, DOLA, and the Colorado Municipal League, CML. Smith said he expected to have some candidates for the board to consider by next week. He said he had one inquiry about the request for a permanent attorney. In response to a question from Harris, Smith said no citizens had referred lawyers to him for consideration. Smith noted he was looking into the background of lawyers who expressed interest in serving the town and was asking them to draft their own terms of employment, which he would then review with CIRSA and CML. He added that although the board gave him signing authority at the previous meeting, any hiring decision would be made following a legal review and agreement from the board. Harris asked to have an agenda item added for the February 12 meeting to consider hiring an interim attorney. 2 vacant board seats to be filled. At the January 8 meeting, Stern moved to accept the resignation of Boyd and Caves. The motion passed unanimously, giving the board 60 days to fill the vacant seats by appointment to avoid a special election to fill them. Stern and Jerka recommended accepting applications until January 30, then interviewing applicants at a work session and making appointments at the board meeting on February 12. Mosley said he felt the questions asked of the last round of applicants were not helpful and suggested the board draft better ones. Romero asked the board members to send her questions to be used in the next round of interviews. At the January 30 meeting, Romero said she had received 4 applications for the 2 vacant seats. The board decided to hold a work session at 4:30 p.m. on February 12 to interview the candidates and to hold a vote at the board meeting following the work session. There was a consensus to reduce the number of questions that candidates would be asked. Harris asked the staff to track the questions asked and to ensure all candidates were asked the same questions. Date set for hearings on Buc-ee's annexation. At the January 30 meeting, the board tried again to decide how the hearings and the election regarding the Buc-ee's annexation would be handled. Dates for the hearings and when the election would be held were unclear. Stern asked Romero to confirm what dates had been set by the board in previous meetings for the Buc-ee's annexation hearings and the election that would allow voters to approve or deny the proposed annexation. Romero said she could not confirm those dates without legal counsel, which the town does not have after Krob's role as interim attorney was terminated. Mosley said he believed the annexation hearings had been continued to February 5 and the annexation election had been scheduled for February 19. He argued the town's current code required the election to be held after the hearings were completed. He said the date for the election could not be decided until after the hearings had been held. Stern said he believed the code would need to be changed due to the initiated ordinance that required all annexations to go to a vote, and that was why the board had asked for a declaratory judgment from a court to settle the issue. Romero said the town had received a letter from Buc-ee's attorney, which she had passed on to the board. She did not characterize the contents. She asked the board to acknowledge receipt. Mosley said he interpreted the letter to say if the annexation hearings were set before the election, Buc-ee's would participate in the hearings, under formal protest. He moved that the board abide by the code as it was presently written, and the election be the final step in the process. There was not a second to Mosley's motion. Romero pointed out that the agenda for the meeting would need to be amended for the board to act on Mosley's motion, because the hearings and election were on the agenda only as items for discussion. Resident Mark Waller, who is also a consultant to Buc-ee's, said the board could not act on any issue without 24 hours notice to the public, to avoid having things passed in the darkness of night. 2 other residents disagreed with Waller's opinion. Stern said a resolution would be required to settle the issue, it would be added to the agenda for the next meeting, and the board would not vote on it at the current meeting. Mosley then moved to cancel the election on February 19, which he thought was improperly set. Harris seconded the motion. Romero said no resolution had been drafted to cancel the election. Harris recommended that Mosley's motion be withdrawn. Mosley responded by making another motion to direct staff to draft a resolution canceling the election, to be voted on at the next meeting. Smith said the town staff could not write a resolution without legal advice. There was no second to this motion. Mosley then moved to continue the Buc-ee's hearings from February 5 to February 19 and to direct staff to provide notice of the new hearing date. Stern responded, again, that action could not be taken on this issue, since it was listed for discussion only, and any election date needed to have 30 days' notice. Romero repeated her hesitance to decide without legal representation. After some discussion about the availability of the town hall on February 19, Harris seconded Mosley's motion. The motion passed with Harris, Jerka, and Mosley voting yes and Beltran and Stern voting no. The board took no action on the question of where the election should fit in the annexation process. Red Rock Acres property ruled eligible for annexation. At the January 22 meeting, the board held a public hearing to decide the eligibility of the Red Rock Acre property for annexation. Jason Alwine, Senior Associate of NES Incorporated, representing GTG Red Rock LLC, said the 39.5-acre property was located east of Highway 105, midway between Monument and Palmer Lake, and is currently in unincorporated El Paso County. In his presentation, he argued that the property met all the requirements for annexation, including contiguity and community of interest. The board voted that the property is eligible for annexation. Determination of eligibility is the first step of several in the annexation process. The proposed annexation must be reviewed by the Planning Commission and voted on by the board before the annexation is complete. Audit underway. At previous meetings, Smith reported to the board that the town's audit was delinquent due to the failure of the auditing company to honor its contract, which led to the replacement of that company with Hinkle & Company. At the January 22 meeting, Jim Hinkle told the board his firm had been hired in mid-December and was making good progress. He said he expected to finish the audit and file the required information with the state within 30 days. To date, nothing concerning had been found, he said. The next regular board meetings are scheduled for February 12 and 26. See the town's website at www.townofpalmerlake.com to confirm times and dates of board meetings and workshops. Meetings are typically held on the second and fourth Thursdays of the month at the Town Hall. Information: 719-481-2953. James Howald can be reached at jameshowald@ocn.me. Jackie Burr-Hans can be reached at jackieburhans@ocn.me. State of the Tri-Lakes Region and Economic Update, January 29, From National to Regional to Local. By Jackie Burr-Hans. The Tri-Lakes Chamber of Commerce, TLCOC, hosted the State of the Tri-Lakes Region and Economic Update on January 9 at the Colorado Springs Marriott Hotel. The event, subtitled From Fed to Front Door, highlighted an economics professor from the University of Colorado, Colorado Springs, UCCS, a county commissioner, and 2 mayors, as well as the president and CEO of TLCOC. Economic Update. TLCOC Board Chair Mark Biddle of Connection Mark LLC welcomed attendees, followed by remarks from presenting sponsor Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Program Director Dr. Bill Craighead said the UCCS Economic Forum serves as a community resource providing weekly economic forecasts and analysis. He said U.S. economic growth is expected to slow due to population decline and immigration policies. Growth depends largely on workers ages 25 to 64, and low turnover and staffing shortages signal weak confidence in job availability. Labor supply and demand have both declined, unemployment has risen, and job seekers, including recent high school and college graduates, face challenges. Consumer spending remains strong, but warning signs include rising loan delinquencies, the loss of Affordable Care Act subsidies, and cuts to SNAP and Medicaid, Craighead said. On the positive side, the federal H.R.1 bill is expected to reduce tax withholding and boost refunds, oil and gas prices should remain low, and tariff-related inflation pressures should ease, though prices will not fall. He also noted tension at the Federal Reserve between controlling inflation and unemployment, concerns about its independence, and signs of AI-driven exuberance in the stock market, even as productivity growth remains solid. Regionally, Craighead described Tri-Lakes as an affluent area within an affluent state. Colorado continues to attract college-educated residents and has a high share of military members and veterans, along with a relatively low percentage of foreign-born residents. The Pikes Peak region ranks 10th nationally for veterans who have higher education and income. Monument's population is growing rapidly, while Palmer Lake's growth is slower. El Paso County is expected to see gradual improvement over the next 2 years, with slower growth statewide and nationally. A high concentration of residents in their 30s and a surge in young children will affect future childcare and school needs. The local economy has added only about 100 jobs per month in recent years, largely due to boom and bust cycles in residential construction. Building permits began to rebound in 2025, while the median age of first-time homebuyers remained steady at 31 to 36. Immigration-related workforce constraints and tariffs on materials such as copper, aluminum, steel, and kitchen cabinets continue to pressure construction. Housing affordability has shown modest improvement, with rents declining and housing costs flattening. Craighead concluded that the economy is slowing, but consumers remain resilient, though with a persistent sense of fragility. He said the region remains prosperous but is experiencing a temporary slowdown tied to construction cycles, with cautious optimism for a modest rebound this year. El Paso County. El Paso County Commissioner Bill Wysong, who represents District 3, including the Tri-Lakes region, said the county takes a long-term approach to growth and resilience. He outlined business, community, and housing incentives available to support the area. Wysong highlighted the Pikes Peak Enterprise Zone, which offers tax credits for donations and investments in economically distressed areas with high unemployment, low per capita income, or slow population growth. Projects in the zone include Fox Run Park and Lewis Palmer School District's Career Innovation Center. He encouraged businesses to take advantage of the program. The county also offers a business loan fund that provides up to $50,000 for private, for-profit small businesses and startups. Wysong cited a Palmer Lake business that received $37,000 for vehicles, equipment, and other fixed assets. He also discussed the Colorado Small Business Development Center, which serves the Pikes Peak region by providing free consulting, training, workshops, and resources to entrepreneurs and small businesses. In addition, the county acts as a conduit for community development block grants, directing about $550,000 in federal funds to Tri-Lakes nonprofits, including Forge Evolution, Project Angel Heart, Tri-Lakes Cares, and MD Carmel Veterans Service Center. The grants also helped fund Americans with Disabilities Act upgrades to the Heart of Monument Play Park, now under development. Wysong closed by highlighting housing programs available through the county, including the Pikes Peak Down Payment Assistance Program, which offers up to 5% in forgivable loans for home purchases and 1% grants for healthcare workers, teachers, and first responders. He encouraged residents and businesses to contact Crystal Ladier, Executive Director of the county's Economic Development Department, to learn how the county can help. Town of Monument. Monument Mayor Mitch LaKine said 2025 brought national and regional economic uncertainty, requiring the town to slow down and remain disciplined. Despite the challenges, Monument moved forward by making mid-year adjustments, adopting a 3-year strategic plan, and maintaining reserves at 32%. He also noted the work of a citizen-led advisory committee focused on self-sustaining growth. The town continued efforts to expand its retail and sales tax base, including a public-private partnership between the Triview Metropolitan District and the Legacy at Jackson Landing project. LaKine said the Falcon Commerce Center is emerging as a logistics and service hub that generates jobs while incorporating on-site open space. Monument is a finalist for Project Cobalt, a proposed fabrication facility that could bring 135 high-wage jobs, supported by $450,000 in State Economic Development Commission-approved incentives. On the housing front, the Connexus Lot 2 project will offer custom single-family homes with trail access, dark sky lighting, and low-water landscaping. LaKine said the town's focus extends beyond buildings and balance sheets to the quality of place. He described Monument as a regional destination and cited the town's investment in a public restroom to support tourism, events, and downtown activity. Downtown continues to see incremental reinvestment through new local retail, makerspaces, business expansion, and rebranding. He thanked the town council and town staff for their professionalism and care, led by town manager Madeline Van Den Hoek, and said progress happens when people show up, work together, and stay engaged over time. Town of Palmer Lake. Palmer Lake Mayor Dennis Stern opened by addressing what he called the elephant, or beaver, in the room, Buc-ee's proposal to annex into the town and build a 74,000-square-foot travel center at the southwest corner of Interstate 25 and County Line Road. Stern said he would not bet a bag of nuggets that Buc-ee's will ultimately locate in Palmer Lake, noting the outcome remains uncertain. Stern said Palmer Lake made national headlines this year during what he described as a contentious and noisy period that tested leadership. What matters most, he said, is what comes next. He emphasized that the board's primary responsibility is fiduciary and that it must take seriously the opportunity to strengthen the town's future and create long-term stability. He said residents care deeply about Palmer Lake, and the challenge now is channeling that care into productive outcomes. Surrounded by natural beauty and defined by a distinct character and scale lost in many other communities, Palmer Lake draws strong support for authentic events such as the Outdoor Classic Hockey Tournament and the Festival on the 4th, which demonstrate community pride and support local businesses. Stern said there are no easy answers, but the town is taking a hard look at how it can thrive amid easing inflation, improving supply chains, and renewed attention on rural America. Solutions will take time, he said, but Palmer Lake remains committed to responsible, measured growth rooted in community values. The town is open to business and will evaluate every opportunity carefully, he said, adding that Palmer Lake's future is worth building. Conclusion. Chamber President and CEO Terry Hayes ended the meeting thanking the sponsors, presenters, and attendees, as well as the TLCOC staff who put on the events, manages memberships, and coordinates communications. She invited attendees to come to the Chamber's annual awards dinner on April 2. Find more information about the Tri-Lakes Chamber of Commerce at www.trilakechamber.com. Jackie Burr-Hans can be reached at jackieburhans@ocn.me. Monument Town Council, January 5 and 20, Commercial Development Approved. By Marlene Brown. In the first piece of business of the new year, Town Manager Madeline Van Den Hoek recognized Connie Dreger as Employee of the Year for her hard work in creating the GIS maps of the town. Working with the town staff and the planning department, she has developed comprehensive maps that include data from the town, the county, and the state. Strategic Plan complete. John Trylch announced that after a year of working with staff and the citizens, the strategic plan is complete. It is ready to be released to the public. Copies will be available at the town hall and can be read online at townofmonument.org. Dan Ungerlater, Director of the Monument Planning Department, presented a continuation of the public hearing from December 1, requesting approval of the final planned unit development, PUD, for Santa Fe Business Park, Lot 2, now known as Terrazzo Baja Commercial Development, located at the northwest corner of Terrazzo Drive and Louisiana Campana Drive. Jason Alwine with NES gave a summary of the timeline since 2008, with the final plat for 9 lots approved in May 2025 for commercial/industrial development. The PUD was approved by the Planning Department in November 2025. Alwine presented the changes to the items that were discussed in the December 1, 2025, hearing. Some of the details, such as building height, color palette for the exteriors, fencing/screening, and storage areas, were changed to conform to code regarding commercial buildings in and around Monument. The council members had brought up other questions at the December 1 hearing regarding parking, fire lanes, landscaping/trees, and placement of trash bins. Mayor Mitch LaKine told the staff of NES that they needed to work within the building codes of the town of Monument and not to work so hard to work around it, as they have tried on other projects in the past. After Ungerlater assured the council that those concerns regarding the 4 buildings to be built on Lot 2 would be designed to code, Mayor Pro Tem Steve King made a motion to approve Ordinance No. 22/2025 with conditions. Stone veneer needs to be consistent on all 4 buildings, storage areas must comply with the town code, and trash bins must be contained within each unit. The motion was seconded and approved 7-0. The council considered Ordinance No. 01-2026 to amend the municipal code to reference the approved official zoning map. Updating and approving the zoning map has been done every year. Now the maps are digital and can be updated on an ongoing basis. Ungerlater introduced Dreger to present the maps. The public can access the maps by going to townofmonument.org, click on Government-Departments, Planning Department, Maps, and then choosing which view of the GIS maps they would like to look at. A motion was made to approve the zoning map. The motion passed 7-0. Ungerlater explained Resolution No. 01-2026 to reappoint members Corey Peterson, John Parr, and Valerie Baumer to the Planning Commission, whose terms expired at the end of 2025. 2 planning commissioners, Kathy Green and Danny Hours, have stepped down after years of service. Residents are urged to apply for the now vacant seats. Go to the Planning Commission website at townofmonument.org and apply online. The resolution passed 6-0. Councilman Florido was not present for the verbal vote. Resolution No. 02-2026 authorizing the filing of a petition for the annexation of the town of Monument Beacon Light Road water tank site passed 7-0. The site has no road access. Letters will go out to neighbors whose property is adjacent to the water tank site to explain their options in annexation. Resolution No. 03-2026 adopting a 2026 legislative platform passed 7-0. The Colorado legislature platform includes affordable housing, regulation, water policy, criminal justice reforms, and energy transition. On January 20, a second Employee of the Year recognition went to Police Corporal Rachel Ho, who is a 7-year veteran with the Monument Police Department. She has been commended for her decisive leadership this past year during a life-saving incident and her role in stabilizing the department during recent staffing shortages. "It's easy to go out there and support the community when you guys support us," said Ho, as she accepted her award to a standing ovation by the council. Police Chief Patrick Reagan requested the purchase of 3 new Ford SUVs for $220,000, which was already approved in the police department budget. The department is moving away from the Chevy Tahoe, citing reliability issues with 2021 models, and they needed to be replaced. The resolution was approved. Resolution number 06-2026 regarded annexation and the 3-mile plan, a state-required map for potential town growth and the annexation process. The updated map recognizes Old Denver Road annexation and shows the potential annexation of Beacon Light Road. Palmer Lake is looking to annex a portion of Beacon Light Road for the Buc-ee's project. Some residents in Colorado Estates and Wakanda Estates may soon receive letters regarding potential annexation due to the Town of Monument water tank site annexation. Unger Leader noted that many of these discussions will be included in the Monument 2040 Comprehensive Plan, currently under study. Mayor LaKind expressed frustration over being ignored by the El Paso Board of County Commissioners regarding the town's preferred appointments to the Fountain Creek Watershed District's board. "We are past the small town designation," council members noted, pointing out that Monument's population, now exceeding 11,000, dwarfs its current board partners like Green Mountain Falls. The council signaled it will bypass the county entirely, working with state legislators for a bill that would grant Monument a permanent, independent voting seat on the board. "We're the headwaters," the mayor emphasized. Van Den Hoek reported that solar panels are being installed on the town hall as part of a major energy savings push. Councilman Florido explained that he would have to step down from being on the Loop Authority Committee due to scheduling conflicts. Regular town council meetings are typically held on the first and third Monday of each month at 6:30 p.m. at the Town Hall, 645 Beacon Light Road, Monument. If the meeting falls on a holiday, the meeting will be held the following Tuesday. Marlene Brown can be reached at marlenebrown@ocn.me. Monument Planning Commission, January 14, Monument officials attend infrastructure workshop. By Janet Sellers. It was a short meeting for the Monument Planning Commission on January 14. The Commission's formal meeting was adjourned to attend an intensive educational session on an overview of the technical backbone of town development for traffic and drainage reports. A 2-minute formal session. At the regular Planning Commission meeting, with Commissioners Valerie Balmer, Martin Trujillo, Ray Egley, and Donna Hatch present, Commissioners Corey Peterson and John Parr were absent. The body had just enough members for a quorum. The Commission unanimously approved the minutes from the December 10, 2025, meeting, then the group adjourned to join the Town Council for a joint workshop. Understanding the why behind the what. While formal Planning Commission meetings focus on reviews and recommendations, workshops allow officials to dig into the why behind staff recommendations. The town engineer hosted the teaching workshop during the joint session, providing a comprehensive tutorial for both the Council and the Planning Commission. The workshop served as a general overview of 2 of the most critical, and often most controversial, components of any new development project. Traffic impact studies. Officials were briefed on how engineers calculate such things as projected vehicle trips, assess level of service at intersections, and determine when a developer must pay for road improvements or traffic lights. Drainage and stormwater management. Considering Monument's unique topography, the town engineer can explain the mechanics of drainage reports. This includes how the town ensures new construction won't cause flooding for neighbors and how detention ponds manage runoff during heavy rain. Why it matters. By hosting this workshop, the town aims to ensure that its decision-makers, many of whom are volunteers or elected neighbors rather than engineers, can critically evaluate the data presented by developers. By sharpening their technical literacy, the Town Council and Planning Commission are better equipped to advocate for the community's safety and infrastructure longevity before the first shovel ever hits the ground. The Commission advises the Town Council on land use and development issues. Its recommendations are based on local and state laws, zoning, and municipal codes. The Planning Commission usually meets on the second Wednesday of each month. The next meeting is scheduled for February 11th. For further information on Commission meetings, please visit www.townofmonument.org/263/Planning Commission Commission Board of Adjustment or contact 719-884-8028. A recording with a transcript of each meeting is also available. Janet Sellers can be reached at janetsellers@ocn.me. Lewis Palmer D38 Board of Education Special Meeting and Work Session, January 6. Board approves financing, receives audit report and draft of annual report to the community. By Harriet Halbig. The Lewis Palmer D38 Board of Education held a special meeting and work session on January 6 to approve an agreement with Eastern Colorado Bank for assistance with capital funding. Capital funding discussion. Chief Business Officer Brett Ridgway presented a proposal from Eastern Colorado Bank to facilitate financing of the Home School Enrichment Academy POD project and maintain financial flexibility, protecting cash reserves, while doing so. Eastern Colorado Bank has selected Holman Capital as its facilitator because the bank has no in-house counsel. Ridgway said that he has worked with the bank in the past when he worked in a different school district. The district has had initial approval from the state for construction of the pod and can now approach the regional building department for a permit to begin work on the foundation. Ridgway explained that at its December meeting, the board discussed the possible need for capital financing assistance for such near-term projects as the demolition of Grace Best Education Center and moving the Transitions program into the Enterprise building. The board approved a motion to authorize Ridgway to arrange the financing and sign on behalf of the district. Work session discussions. The board received a rough draft of the district's annual report to the community, presented by Director of Communications Amy Matasek. Matasek said her office examined award-winning reports from many school districts, took care to include effective photographs, and added a section on awards and other recognitions of the district. The annual report is an 8-page document that is mailed to all zip codes included in the district, with additional copies to be mailed to the Larkspur zip code. Matasek said the goal is to have the report mailed by the end of January. She said the Chamber of Commerce will also have copies, and she will provide some to members of the board. Ridgway briefly reported on the results of the district's 2025 audit, which was submitted to the state in late December. He explained that an audit is a very scripted document and, therefore, more difficult to understand than the monthly financial statements created by his office for board meetings. Superintendent Amber Wetstein led a discussion regarding board members attending district meetings as liaisons and asked that each member also select a priority from the district's strategic plan to sponsor. The board adjourned into executive session to discuss the superintendent's mid-year review and safety and security protocols. Harriet Halbig may be reached at harriethalbig@ocn.me. Parent and Community Advisory Committee, January 13, continued discussion of Board Priority 2, Academic Excellence, report from Monument Academy. By Harriet Halbig. The Lewis Palmer D38 Parent and Community Advisory Committee, PCAC, continued its discussion of improving academic excellence at its January 13 meeting. A presentation about Palmer Lake Elementary School and one from Monument Academy were included in the meeting. Priority 2 from the district strategic plan, Academic Excellence. The committee has been focusing on this aspect of the district strategic plan for the past 2 meetings, first concentrating on the impact of participation in testing and now on improving scores in English language arts and mathematics. Alicia Welch, Executive Director of Education Services, and Dr. Michael Brom, Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, shared a presentation regarding the district's work in this area. The district is adopting strategies from the new classroom instruction that works and has implemented new training from 7 steps to a language-rich interactive classroom, which focuses on student engagement. Other sources were also mentioned. To view the presentation, please go to the district website, lewispalmer.org, Family Resources, Community, District Committees, and see meeting content. The presentations from Palmer Lake Elementary and Monument Academy are also available there. Goals are to attain 85th percentile achievement in English language arts with a 50th percentile record of growth, and to achieve the same level in mathematics. Please see the presentation for detailed information on programs in use to achieve these goals. A committee member asked whether achieving these goals would contribute to the district being accredited with distinction. Brom said that several principals and teachers had shared their experiences and found that they were making a difference. They said they are moving to a facilitator of learning rather than a rote instruction model. Director of Innovative Programs Amy Ciankowski reported that the newly opened Career and Innovation Center, CIC, will increase the number of pathways available to students to elevate the district's scores in the area of post-secondary readiness. D38 is the first in the state to offer electrical engineering, and the home building project offers the opportunity to learn all phases of home building. They are working with Habitat for Humanity. Advanced manufacturing and aerospace are other pathways currently available. The goal of CIC is to offer the opportunity to earn industry certifications through training. Last year, students earned 360 certifications. This year, the district has filled 3,300 seats in courses between the 2 high schools and the middle school. 280 students are in a work-based study or internship. Phase 2 of the CIC will include healthcare, certified nursing assistant and certified medical assistant, pharmacy technician, and computer science pathways. District representatives meet quarterly with industry partners who help ensure it is meeting industry standards and workforce needs in the community. Monument Academy report on Priority 2 progress. Executive Director Colin Vinchattel of Monument Academy, MA, and Monument Academy East Campus Principal Angela Duca presented information on MA's efforts to improve academic performance. To view the presentation, please see the district website. MA has increased its focus on data analysis with a weekly meeting involving data review and instructional planning. Writing is emphasized across all subjects and includes daily grammar instruction. Links Time offers 30 minutes for students to work on something they may be struggling with or personalized studies. Duca reported that at the secondary level, there is a 6th grade executive functioning club, and students have opportunities for individual help with after-school study tables. Duca said that MA high school students are also offered leadership training through required classes at the freshman and sophomore levels and participate in internship programs as juniors. High school students create an individual career and academic plan to guide them toward their post-secondary goals. Palmer Lake Elementary presentation. Palmer Lake Elementary Principal Kim Briding offered a presentation on her school, which was originally built in 1934 and has been added to 3 times since then. The student population is 290 from kindergarten through 6th grade, with 23 students in preschool. 25 students are identified as gifted and talented, 23 are multilingual, and 37.9% are on free and reduced lunch. The school receives title funding. Briding said that 11 teachers at the school have over 20 years of experience, and 5 have taught for 11 to 19 years. She also spoke of activities such as High Trails, where 5th graders spend 3 days and 2 nights in New Florissant, and local activities such as riding in a fire truck and a glow kickball game with teachers. To view the presentation, please see the website. Committee updates. A member of the Financial Transparency Committee, FTC, commented that the Board of Education should have asked for an assessment and feedback before approving a loan with Eastern Colorado Bank. Board Liaison Dr. Patty Schenk said that only a line of credit is open, and more information will be provided. FTC member Kristen Henry Dallager reported on the December FTC meeting and said that the budget can be amended through January 31st. She said that the board pursued a line of credit with Eastern Colorado Bank to pursue capital projects such as the building for the Home School Enrichment Academy and a permanent location for the Transitions program. The Lewis Palmer D38 Parent and Teacher Advisory Committee meets 6 times a year. Locations vary. The next meeting will be at 6 p.m. on February 10th at Lewis Palmer High School, 1300 Higbee Road in Monument. For a tour of the school, arrive at 5:30. For further information, contact tmckee@lewispalmer.org. Harriet Halbig may be reached at harrietralbig@ocn.me. Monument Academy School Board, January 15th, Board passes mid-year budget, selects bond counsel. By Jackie Burr-Hans. The Monument Academy, MA, Board met on January 15th to adjust its mid-year budget, modify its marketing position, select a bond counsel, discuss its self-evaluation and election process, and update a policy on curriculum evaluation. Mid-year budget. Executive Director Colin Vinchattel apologized on behalf of Finance Director Laura Polan, who couldn't attend due to illness. Since the last presentation, there have only been a couple of changes, he said. They met with Director of Preschool Kirsty Hayes to narrow the budget, lowering the salary they had budgeted for an additional stipend. They also modified the allocation of costs for stipends and staffing changes between the middle and high schools. The bottom line went from a deficit of $180,000 to a deficit of $130,000. The board unanimously approved resolutions on the mid-year budget appropriation, use of beginning funds balance, fund balance change, and interfund borrowing for FY 25-26. Position adjustment and creation. Vinchattel said MA had reviewed its marketing and communications position and felt it was tough to do both jobs at the same time, so they are splitting the role into 2 new part-time positions for communications and marketing, to achieve better results in this high-demand time. He noted that MA has 5 to 6 events in January. The board unanimously approved the change. Bond counsel selected. Vinchattel introduced an engagement letter for Casey Parrott LLC, a law firm that has been asked to serve as bond counsel to the Colorado Educational and Cultural Facilities Authority, SECFA, in connection with the issuance of bonds for Monument Academy during the refinance of its 2019 East Campus bonds. He said the engagement letter was with Hester Parrott and that MA had already begun working with her in good faith. He noted that the document was reviewed by MA's legal counsel and that Tim Farmer would be taking on the bond refinance work, and this was a standard agreement. President Ryan Graham asked if Chief Financial Officer Glenn Gustafson had reviewed it. Vinchattel said Gustafson had been on vacation and hadn't seen it yet. Graham noted that Vinchattel, Poland, and Farmer had reviewed it, and it looked like boilerplate template language, so he had no concerns but wanted Gustafson to have a chance to look at it. He noted that the fees and expenses were contingent on bond funding. The board unanimously approved the engagement letter. Board self-evaluation and election. Graham said each board member should have received a self-evaluation form from Director of People Operations Krista Pelly. The idea is that the board will review the results at the work session on February 26 at 6:30 p.m. Vinchattel asked that board members complete and return the form on February 20, so Pelly has time to put it into a presentation. Vice President Lindsay Clinton reviewed the board election process, noting that 2 positions would be open as both Graham's and board member Matt Ross' terms would end on June 30, 2026. Graham is term limited and will not be on the ballot. The application process runs from February 1 to March 31. Applicants will have the opportunity to meet with 1 or 2 board members to ask about the position, confirm their intent to run, and attend as many board meetings as possible. They will get information about the time commitment and see if it is a fit. If there are more than 2 applicants, the board will schedule a community Q&A, and there will be a formal 5-day election in the last week of April. Winners will be announced in May and sworn in at the June board meetings. There will be a background check and board training. The 3-year board terms begin on July 1. Policy update. Board member Jalinda Dygert introduced the IJMA selection of instructional material textbook and policies procedure and its related exhibit. She explained that the policy goes through the process of how primary instructional material and textbooks are reviewed and approved. The governance committee wanted to tweak it and add community feedback. One key area was the procedure for out-of-cycle needs, so that when a publisher releases a new edition, the administration may conduct an abbreviated review to see if there are substantive changes. Non-substantive changes can be approved without board approval. Dygert said the policy clarified that any change in curriculum needs to be communicated to parents. IJMA-E is the related exhibit to the above policy. Dygert said the exhibit is the form that the curriculum committee uses to evaluate curriculum, and only editorial changes had been made. The board unanimously approved both the policy and its exhibit. Board policies can be found at https://tinyurl.com/ma-policies. Highlights. Board meeting highlights include: Executive Director Vinchattel noted the impact of snow on finals, projects, and concerts. NWEA testing was going well and would be input into bond refinancing reports. High school and elementary information nights were rescheduled, and there would be kindergarten, homeschool, preschool, and high-performance program nights to come. Finance Director Vinchattel reported on behalf of Poland that November financials represent 41.55% of the budget, and the total loss was $155,000 because of $708,000 in deficit spending. He reviewed general, facility, foundation, and student activity fund balances. MA continues to work on capital construction of the track and field area, refinancing the 2019 bonds for the East Campus, and will be mailing W-2s and 1099s shortly. Curriculum East. Clinton reported the committee met on January 8 to review the draft proposal for field trips and to review progress on curriculum mapping. Student Accountability and Advisory Committee, SAAC, West. Clinton reported 128 survey respondents, not enough to get participation rewards. Results were being reviewed, she said. SAAC East. Dygert reported that the survey was released in December with the most effort to advertise it, but it did not meet the participation threshold. She said the committee would meet January 26 to review results. Resources and development. Clinton said that gala tickets were on sale and the theme is a "Going All In for MA" casino night. The MA School Board meets at 6:30 p.m. on the second Thursday of each month. The next regular board meeting will be on February 12 at 6:30 p.m. at the East Campus. The agenda and packet are available at tinyurl.com/my-boarddocs. Jackie Burr-Hans can be reached at jackieburhans@ocn.me. Lewis Palmer D38 Board of Education, January 26, reports on Home School Enrichment Academy structure, transition program location. By Harriet Halbig. The Lewis Palmer D38 Board of Education received reports on construction projects and actions in support of the district's strategic plan at its January 26 meeting. Home School Enrichment and Transition Update. Director of Planning, Facilities, and Grounds Melissa Andrews reported on progress on the new pod structure for the Home School Enrichment Academy, HSEA. HSEA is currently housed in Grace Best Education Center, which is slated for demolition. Building plans for a new location in the form of a pod structure were submitted to the Colorado Department of Local Affairs in September 2025. The drawings received their final stamp of approval in December. Also in December, a matching grant of $46,525 for a playground was received and equipment ordered. Andrews showed a site plan and floor plan for the pod structure, which should be ready for use at the beginning of the 2026-27 school year. When asked if there are potential obstacles to completion on time, Andrews replied that the structure requires over 100 concrete piers, and a problem could arise if the weather is too cold to pour concrete. For detailed information about the project, please see Board Docs under the Board of Education tab on lewispalmer.org. Select the meeting date and view the agenda. The Transition Services program was also housed in Grace Best, and numerous options for its future location were discussed. Primary considerations included the potential number of participants in the program and the cost of new construction versus renovation of existing structures. Renovation of the enterprise building on the campus of the administration building is a favored solution. The number of participants in the program is currently 15, and it is anticipated to vary between 10 and 15 for the upcoming 5 years. The program is currently housed in the Career and Innovation Center in the area that will house the healthcare pathway in the future. It is hoped that transitions will be in its permanent location beginning in the 2027-28 school year. Strategic Priority 2, Academic Excellence. Executive Director of Education Alicia Welch, Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessments Dr. Michael Brom, and Director of Innovative Programs Amy Ciankowski reported on district actions to improve academic excellence in the district. In the areas of English language arts and math, the goal is to maintain academic achievement at the 85th percentile and at least a median growth percentile of 50. Students in grades K to 3 are tested on DIBELS, dynamic indicators of basic early literacy. Those in grades 3 to 6 have a writing workshop, and the program implementing the 7 steps to a language-rich classroom is in use. Training on the new classroom instruction that works is now in use, and SAT skills practice is offered to secondary school students. In the area of math, goals are the same, and master manager training for teachers is in place. A third goal is to maintain a rolling average local matriculation rate of at least 95% by 2027. The matriculation rate reflects the number of students who go on to college, community college, vocational, or technical trade schools. Ciankowski reported on career and technology programs in support of increasing the matriculation rate. The district is nearing the 95% level now. The local figure is 99%, but the state figures the total differently. The goal by 2029 is to have all graduates earn an industry-certified certificate, have 12 college credits, or have work-based learning. In the past school year, 360 certifications were earned. Ciankowski enumerated the pathways currently available at the Careers and Innovation Center, CIC, which include studies in business, marketing, and public information, skilled trades, construction, carpentry, and engineering. At the high school level, a number of students are enrolled in classes in engineering, computer, science, especially cybersecurity, and health sciences, pathways that will be at the CIC in the future. In addition, 267 students are participating in work-study programs, which involve a contract between student and employer and a form regarding alignment with the student's individual careers and academic program, ICAP. Strategic Priority 6, Relationships and Communication. Director of Communications Amy Matisek reported on efforts in her department to improve relationships within the community, make the district website more effective internally and externally, develop partnerships in the community, and increase the participation of local retirees in the district. She said that a new annual report to the community would be mailed out to local zip codes by the end of the week. This report would include information on district cultural activities, academic achievements, and sports achievements. Matisek said copies of the report would be available at the Chamber of Commerce, and each board member would receive copies to distribute. The district will continue to promote itself as an exceptional district through such media as Monument Living, Palmer Divide Living, and the Tribune. Efforts to improve enrollment include sponsoring Fox 21's We Are Tri-Lakes campaign and supporting HSEA. An enhanced enrollment webpage is also in development. Additional efforts are to improve the Net Promoter Score, NPS, for response to questionnaires asking whether D38 is a good place to work, and whether D38 is a good place for learning. Efforts continue to develop community partnerships, provide up-to-date information on snow day availability, promote enrollment through choice nights at the schools, and implement Room, a two-way communication tool for schools and families. She said the district will also maintain attendance at chamber events and collaborate with faith-based and community leaders. The district will increase knowledge about the D38 Foundation by making presentations at schools and clarifying the application process for grants. Student recognition. Max Hawkins, a 7th grade student at Lewis Palmer Middle School, was recognized for being selected to try out for the U-15 U.S. National Youth Soccer Team. This places him in contention to represent the United States in the U-15 World Cup and other international competitions later this year. Max will attend the National Training Camp in California this February. Lewis Palmer Middle School Principal Courtney Harrell and Max's parents were present. The board presented Max with a plaque in honor of his achievement. National School Board Recognition Month. In honor of National School Board Recognition Month, 11 former members of the board were invited to attend this meeting. See the photo above. Each was presented with a gift bag. Board Vice President Dr. Patty Schenk thanked Vicki Wood for her many hours of effort to locate the former members and invite them. Current board members were also acknowledged with gifts. Student representatives. Lewis Palmer Middle School students Paisley Florquist, Reagan Call, and Adhya Mohan attended the meeting and offered a presentation about activities at their school. Later in the meeting, they also said which classes they had attended in the pathways leading to CIC. The Lewis Palmer D38 Board of Education usually meets at 6 p.m. on the third Monday of the month at the district's Bauman Learning Center, 146 Jefferson Street in Monument. The February 10th meeting will be a combination work session and regular meeting at 9 a.m. at the Bauman Learning Center. Harriet Halbig may be reached at harriethalbig@ocn.me. Monument Fire District, January 19th and 28th, Fire Station 3 rebuild moves closer. By Natalie Barsh. The Tri-Lakes Monument Fire Protection District, TLMFPD, DBA Monument Fire District, MFD, held a special meeting via Microsoft Teams on January 19 to approve the purchase of real estate. A promotion ceremony was held before the regular board meeting on January 28. The board adopted the International Fire Code and the Wildlife Resiliency Code and approved a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, for the emergency manager position. The board received an update on the fire chief recruitment search. The board held an executive session pursuant to Colorado Revised Statute Section 24-6-402(4)(f) to discuss Fire Chief Andy Kovac's performance appraisal. Secretary Dwayne Garrett was excused from the January 28 meeting. Special meeting outcome. The board held a virtual, special meeting on January 19 to approve the purchase of real estate. In a 6-0 roll call vote, the board approved Resolution 2026-2001, approving the purchase of a lot west of the Quicktrip, and Resolution 2026-2002, approving the purchase of a 2-acre parcel north of the YMCA off Jackson Creek Parkway to construct a new Fire Station 3. Director Tim De Leon resigned from the board in January, and he will be replaced by former board member Michael Smaldino. Treasurer Tom Kelly announced he would resign after the February meeting because he will be moving out of the district. Staff promotions. Before the January 28 meeting, a ceremony was held to promote the following staff. Firefighter/paramedic Jeremy Furman was promoted to Accreditation Manager. Engineer Aaron Wood was promoted to Community Risk Reduction Coordinator. Tyler Ruona was promoted to Engineer. Victoria Slater, hired in September 2025, resigned as accreditation manager. Other approved items. In a 5-0 vote, the board approved the following. Resolution 2026-2003, adopting the International Fire Code and Wildlife Resiliency Code. The Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management, PPREM, MOU for the emergency manager position. The position is a three-way partnership with the PPREM and the Town of Monument. See https://wp. ocn.me/v25n10/mfd. Recruitment update. Kovacs said executive recruitment for the fire chief position was underway by Prothman Executive Recruitment. The position will be advertised in March, and the candidate interview process will begin in April. The board of directors will select a new fire chief from a short list of candidates in May, and the candidate will be ready to join the organization in July/August. At the October 2025 meeting, Kovacs announced his plan to retire from the fire service at the end of 2026. Financial update. Kelly said the district is at 100% of the total budget year to date as of December 31, and presented the following. The combined overall revenue received for 2025 was about $23.472 million, and 96.8% of the 2025 income projected annual revenue set at about $24.235 million. Overall expenses for 2025 were about $17.796 million, and 94.8% of the projected expense budget set at about $18.764 million. The total checking/savings was about $35.949 million, with about $10.742 million in the operations/general fund. The balance includes loan proceeds of about $18.327 million in Bank of Oklahoma financing for the Fire Station 3 rebuild. Kelly said the 36 electronic transactions were appropriate and within budget. Of note were $176,804, COSD, prop/liability property/liability coverage 2026. $46,410, Frontline Health, Employee Annual Physicals. $29,456, Flintco LLC, Administrative Office Remodel. $154,592, Kaiser Permanente, Health Insurance. $7,406, Wex Bank Incorporated, Fleet Fuel. In a 5-0 vote, the board accepted the financial reports presented for November and December 2025. Sun Hills Property Update. President Mark Gunderman said the district's attorney, Maureen Huron, had reviewed the legal requirements for the sale/disposal of the Sun Hills property, former Donald Westcott Fire Protection District, DWFPD, Station 3. Huron concurred with the previous findings of Westcott attorney Emily Powell, who confirmed the district could dispose of the property however it chooses. He said the 0.44-acre property was assessed at $300,000 several years ago during the merger between MFD and DWFPD, and he recommended the property be returned to the original lot, citing the district did not need the cash. Kelly agreed with Gunderman. Kovacs said the board should decide during the summer, and the property could be disposed of by the end of 2026. The property is currently being used for storage by the Red Cross and Emergency Incident Support, and the time frame would allow alternative storage facilities to be found. Chief's Report. Division Chief of Operations Janaka Brandon presented the Chief's Report and said the district had experienced a 7% increase in call volume for 2025. The full report can be viewed at www.monumentfire.org. Executive Session, Performance Appraisal. The board moved into an executive session at about 6:10 p.m., pursuant to Section 24-6-402, 4F, Colorado Revised Statutes, relating to personnel matters with the consent of Kovacs, the subject of the executive session. Director of Administration Jennifer Martin confirmed to this reporter that when the board returned to regular session, no action was taken. Meetings are usually held on the fourth Wednesday of every month. The next regular meeting is scheduled for February 25 at 4:30 p.m. at Station 1, 18650 Highway 105. For Microsoft Teams virtual joining instructions, agendas, minutes, and updates, visit www.monumentfire.org or contact Director of Administration Jennifer Martin at 719-484-9011. Natalie Barsh can be reached at nataliebarsh@ocn.me. Woodmoor Water and Sanitation District, January 12, Board hires new attorney. By James Howell. At its first meeting in 2026, the Woodmoor Water and Sanitation District, WWSD, Board hired attorney Tamara Seaver to replace Aaron Smith. Smith is retiring after representing WWSD for 26 years. The board took care of two pieces of housekeeping that are needed annually: an administrative matters resolution and authorization to dispose of equipment of de minimis or insignificant value. District Manager Jesse Schaefer was authorized to sign Highway 105 Phase B easement agreements. The board heard operational and financial reports from District Manager Jesse Schaefer, Operations Superintendent Dan LaFontaine, Board Treasurer Dana Franson, and District Engineer Sidney Salins. The meeting ended with an executive session. Seaver's experience with public-private partnerships a plus. Smith introduced Seaver, telling the board she is an experienced district lawyer from an experienced district law firm. Smith pointed out that Seaver's experience with public-private partnerships would benefit the Loop Water Reuse Project as well as WWSD. She said Seaver's law firm, Isinogle Seaver Pogue PC, was one of the strongest in the state regarding public-private partnerships. Seaver said she began practicing law at 25 and had been retained by WWSD previously to litigate its joint use of facilities agreement that governs the Tri-Lakes wastewater treatment facility that WWSD operates in partnership with the towns of Monument and Palmer Lake. She has served other districts that are managing their water rights portfolios, Seaver said. A Colorado native, Seaver said she had been with the same law firm since beginning to practice law, and she enjoyed serving institutional clients. The board voted to authorize Board President Brian Bush to sign a letter of engagement hiring Seaver as the district's attorney. Administrative resolution passed. The board adopted Resolution 26-01, which lays out the rules that govern the board's operations and ensures compliance with state laws. The resolution addresses issues including the requirement to file a map of the district's service area with the El Paso County Clerk and Recorder, the schedule for preparing and filing a proposed and final budget, the use of the district web page at https://www.woodmoorwater.com for posting regular and special meeting notices. The board also authorized General Manager Jesse Schaefer to sell old computers, office furniture, used well drop pipe, and brass water meter bodies. Highway 105 easements. Schaefer told the board that Transportation Resource Services Incorporated is acquiring rights-of-way and easements required by El Paso County's effort to widen Highway 105 to the east of Lake Woodmoor Drive to Martingale Road. Some of WWSD's utility lines will be affected by the Phase B construction and will be relocated before construction begins. Board President Brian Bush recommended that Schaefer sign the necessary paperwork as it is submitted to the district. Financial and operational reports. Franson noted that in November, revenues exceeded expenditures by $550,000. "We are back in the sweet spot we were in a few months ago," he said, noting that some construction budgeted for in 2025 was postponed until 2026. "We have strong reserves and are in excellent shape," Franson said. In his manager's report, Schaefer said all of the Loop's consultants were getting their designs to 30% completion. He said the Loop's participating districts had agreed to hire an executive director who would report to the Loop board. To date, the Loop has not hired any staff directly, it has used consultants instead. LaFontaine reported 7 water leaks and a sewer line blocked by 6 feet of tree roots. In her engineering report, Salins said she had given Lewis Palmer School District 38 comments on its Safe Routes to Schools (SRTS) plan, which includes construction of a bridge over the spillway at the south end of Lake Woodmoor. Bush commented that the SRTS project has been under development for 9 years. Salins also reported that El Paso County plans a traffic roundabout at the intersection of Deer Creek Road and Woodmoor Drive, with construction starting in March. Executive session. The meeting ended with an executive session to receive legal counsel regarding potential agreements with El Paso County and Monument Fire District. No action was taken following the executive session. The next meeting is on February 9 at 1 p.m. Meetings are usually held on the second Monday of each month at 1 p.m. at the district office at 1845 Woodmoor Drive. Please see www.woodmoorwater.com or call 719-488-2525 to verify meeting times and locations. James Howell can be reached at jameshowell@ocn.me. Monument Sanitation District, January 21, Buc-ee's advances sewer plan. By Jackie Burr-Hans and James Howell. At a brief meeting in January, the Monument Sanitation District, MSD, Board heard a report from District Manager Mark Parker that focused on Buc-ee's plans to install sewer infrastructure along Beacon Light Road for its proposed travel center. The Board also took care of some annual housekeeping requirements by approving an administrative resolution and a resolution naming the locations where notices will be posted. It also heard public comments. Buc-ee's sewer plan complete. Parker told the Board that he is attending weekly meetings with El Paso County regarding the county's project to straighten, level, pave, and add curbs and gutters to Beacon Light Road. At a previous meeting, Parker explained that the county had planned to do this work years before Buc-ee's announced its intention to build a travel center just east of the intersection of County Line Road and Beacon Light Road. That work has already begun, Parker said. Parker explained that MSD had received a complete design from Buc-ee's for the off-site sanitary sewer service required by its proposed travel center. MSD reviewed the plans with GMS Incorporated, its consulting engineers, and had provided final edits to Kimley Horn, the engineering company that created the plans for Buc-ee's. Parker said a meeting was scheduled for next week, at which final approval for the sewer work would be given, allowing Buc-ee's to put the work out to bid. Parker commented at a previous meeting that the sewer work should be completed before El Paso County completed its work on Beacon Light Road to avoid the cost of tearing up a recently repaved road. Compensation to be reviewed. The Board voted unanimously to approve Resolution 01212026-1, its annual administrative resolution. The resolution ensures compliance with state laws and documents the rules under which the Board will operate, such as compensation for directors, the schedules for Board meetings, budget, and audits. The District Manager will serve as the budget officer. The designated election official will manage elections. The Board passed a second resolution designating the district's web page and offices as the locations where notices of meetings will be posted. Notices are posted on the web page here, https://www.monumentsanitationdistrict.org/board-meetings. The MSD offices are at 132nd Street, Monument. Public comments. Resident Laura Cronick, a member of the Monument Town Council, pointed out that the MSD website had out-of-date information about who sits on the district's board and did not yet have the 2026 budget posted. Monument Sanitation District meetings are held at 9 a.m. on the third Wednesday of the month in the District Conference Room at 132nd Street, Monument. The next regular meeting is scheduled for February 18th. See monumentsanitation.district.org. For a district service map, see www.monumentsanitation.district.org/district-map. For information, 719-481-4886. Jackie Burr-Hans can be reached at jackieburhans@ocn.me. James Howell can be reached at jameshowell@ocn.me. Donala Water and Sanitation District, January 15, 2026 rates and fees amended. By James Howell and Jackie Burr-Hans. At its meeting in January, the Donala Water and Sanitation District, DWSD, Board held a public hearing on corrections and amendments to its water and sewer rates and fees. The Board discussed how to proceed with hiring a new general manager. DWSD's possible participation in the North Monument Creek Interceptor, NMCI, project was briefly discussed in the open session and deferred to the executive session. Annual housekeeping matters were addressed in an administrative resolution and a Board meeting schedule. The meeting ended with an executive session. Water investment fee corrected. Board President Wayne Vanderschwer opened a public hearing on Resolution 2026-2, which documents changes to the water and sewer rates and fees approved in 2025. Interim General Manager Christina Hawker explained that the water investment fee, which pays for the purchase of Willow Creek Ranch, the connection to Colorado Springs Utilities, CSU, and additional water resources, was originally set at $4,200 but should have been set at $4,200 per single-family residence or equivalent. The new resolution corrected that error, she said. Billing Administrator Ashley Urin explained additional changes, which include: a new $3 per day fee will be imposed if installations and inspections are not completed within the designated time. A $750 deposit, to be paid by developers, on bulk water provided by DWSD's fill station. An increase of 5% to the minimum water service rate over the 2025 rate. An increase of 5% to the minimum sewer service rate over the 2025 rate. Urin said the new rates would go into effect immediately, except for water and sewer rates, which will go into effect in March. Vandersweer closed the hearing, and the board voted unanimously to approve the resolution. General manager position to be filled. Vandersweer said the last time DWSD had interviewed candidates for its general manager position, it had assigned 2 board members to cull resumes and applications, then the board discussed that short list and interviewed selected candidates. He said Linda Glesson, DWSD's attorney, had offered to brief the board on the hiring process. Directors Ken Judd and Kevin Deerdorf will do the first round of resume evaluation, Vandersweer said. NMCI gets another look. Vandersweer said CSU had contacted the district to ask if it would reconsider joining the NMCI project. Participation in the NMCI would enable DWSD to send its sewer flows to a CSU-owned treatment plan and remove the need for DWSD to continue to operate the Upper Monument Creek Regional Wastewater Treatment Facility, UMCRWWTF, which it shares with the Triview Metropolitan District, TMD, the Forest Lakes Metropolitan District, FLMD, and the Academy Water and Sanitation District. TMD and FLMD have expressed interest in joining NMCI. DWSD has debated joining the NMCI project for several years but has decided to join the Loop Water Reuse Project instead, in part because the NMCI design does not provide a way for DWSD to reuse its effluent, which the Loop does provide. Vandersweer said there were legal ramifications involved in the decision, adding that Roger Sams of GMS Incorporated, DWSD's consulting engineer, would go into the details of the legal decision in the executive session. Administrative resolution passed. The board voted unanimously in favor of Resolution 2026-1, which established the rules and regulations that special districts must follow, such as the schedule for preparing, submitting, and amending their budget, and where their meetings will be held. The board also approved a schedule for its board meetings, which are typically held on the third Thursday of every month at 1:30 p.m. Executive session. The meeting ended with an executive session to confer with legal counsel regarding the district's intergovernmental agreement for the UMCRWWTF. No actions were taken following the executive session. The next board meeting is on Thursday, February 19th, at 1:30 p.m. Generally, board meetings are held on the third Thursday of the month at 1:30 p.m. and include online access. Call 719-488-3603 or access www.donalawater.org to receive up-to-date meeting information. The district office is located at 15850 Holbein Drive, Colorado Springs. James Howell can be reached at jameshowell@ocn.me. Jackie Burr-Hans can be reached at jackieburhans@ocn.me. Triview Metropolitan District, January 22, 2026. Snowpack really bad. By Natalie Barsh. At the Triview Metropolitan District, TMD, meeting on January 22, the board heard about the potential for low snowpack affecting spring runoff in the region. The board approved the closure of Subdistrict A, the area south of Higbee Road. The board held an executive session to receive legal advice relating to water matters, pending litigation, agreements with the Town of Monument, TOM, and other governmental and private entities, the potential participation in the Northern Monument Creek Interceptor, NMCI, project, and the AGRA recharge pond easement. Director Mark Demkowicz was excused. Snowpack update. District Manager James McGrady said the snowpack is looking like a really bad year for 2026, with the Arkansas River in the 3rd percentile, just slightly above the worst year recorded, and the Upper Colorado River Basin below 0 percentile. Years 2002, 2011, and 2012 were dry, and the Northern Delivery System, NDS, was built to be reliant on snowpack spring runoff with the knowledge that there will be dry years when the district will be more reliant on wells. 2026 may be a meager year for snow runoff, but the district is in good shape to supply water to its customers, said McGrady. Water Treatment Superintendent Gary Potter said the total water usage for 2025 was 989 acre-feet of water, with 695 acre-feet of renewable water delivered via the NDS. The extremely low snowpack has led the district to reevaluate the water management plan for 2026. Water operations update. Potter said the NDS produced 47% of the district's water, with 53% from wells, for a total of about 13.91 million gallons in December. The district sold about 12.62 million gallons to customers, leaving 985,954 gallons or about 7.09% of non-revenue water unbilled. The district had 16.13% unbilled water in December 2024, said Potter. Assistant Manager Steve Sheffield thanked the team for working diligently to lower the water unbilled percentage for the district. At a recently attended conference, he discovered the average U.S. utility non-revenue water loss is 12%, and 20% of utilities have non-revenue water loss of 30%. Potter said the Environmental Protection Agency water testing samples from the district's wells were all found to contain 0% and polyfluoroalkyl substances, PFAS. The testing occurs every 3 years. NMCI project update. McGrady said the board would discuss the NMCI project during executive session, as lawyers are working on agreements and the costs of the project are being finalized. At the February regular meeting, the cost sharing and bond financing for the project will be discussed, said McGrady. The NMCI project is a proposed 10.1-mile pipeline that would transport untreated wastewater from TMD and Forest Lakes Metropolitan District to Colorado Springs Utilities J.D. Phillips Water Resource Recovery Facility, located near I-25 and Garden of the Gods Road, for processing. Subdistrict inactive. McGrady said Subdistrict A overlays 6 filings in the north of the Jackson Creek development, south of Higbee Road, that includes Creekside developments. The Creekside Developments Agreement was revised after 5 years of filing zero assessment for debt service. Resolution 26-01 declares the subdistrict inactive and avoids filing a zero budget every year. General Counsel George Rowley said that reactivating Subdistrict A in the future would require the board to approve another resolution. In a 4-0 vote, the board approved the resolution. Financial update. McGrady said the district had a good year in sales tax revenue received and is expecting about another $300,000 for December sales tax revenue. In a 5-0 vote, the board accepted the financial report as presented for the year ending December 31, 2025, and the checks presented over $5,000. Executive session. The board moved into executive session at about 7:30 p.m. to receive legal advice pursuant to Section 24-6-402, 4E, Colorado Revised Statutes, CRS, for the purposes of determining positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiations, developing strategies for negotiations and instructing negotiators as it relates to water matters, pending litigation, agreements with the TOM and other governmental entities, potential participation in the Northern Monument Creek Interceptor and the AGRA Recharge Pond Easement, and to receive legal advice pursuant to Section 24-6-402, 4B, CRS as it relates to the subject matter above. Sheffield confirmed to this reporter that upon returning to the regular session, no action was taken. Meetings are usually held on the third Thursday of the month at the district office located at 16055 Old Forest Point, Suite 302. The next regular board meeting is scheduled for February 19 at 5:30 p.m. For meeting agendas, minutes, and updates, visit https://triviewmetro.com. Natalie Barsh can be reached at nataliebarsh@ocn.me. El Paso County Regional Loop Water Authority, January 15. Board hears updates from Merrick and SpencerFane. By James Howell. At a brief meeting in January, the El Paso County Regional Loop Water Authority, EPCRLWA, or the Loop, board heard progress reports from Rebecca Hutchinson, a civil design engineer with Merrick and Company, who is acting as the Loop's workflow manager, and from Mallory Craig, a lawyer with SpencerFane, the Loop's legal advisor. Corbin of From & Company, LLC, the Loop's accounting firm, gave the board a financial report. Change orders scrutinized. Hutchinson told the board that Burns and McDonnell, the company designing the lift stations and pipelines for the Loop, was expected to have its design available for review soon. Hutchinson said the plan would be reviewed by Merrick and then would be available to the Loop board. She said that a change order to the contract now stood at $37,000, an increase from the original cost. Board President Jesse Schaefer noted that the change order had been reduced from $70,000. He said that Burns and McDonnell had done some additional work beyond what was specified in the contract, but an increase of $70,000 was unjustified. The board voted to approve a change order for the lower amount. A cost decrease in regard to the expansion of the Calhoun Reservoir was also reviewed. At the previous meeting, there was discussion about the number of bore holes required to categorize the soils at the reservoir and at the Chilkat Ditch. Geotech, the company analyzing the soils, originally proposed drilling 12 holes at a cost of $119,000. Schaefer said Geotech had agreed to reduce the number of bores and lower the cost to $55,000. Board member Dan LaFontaine made a motion to draft a change order at the lower cost. His motion was approved by the board. Craig told the board that negotiations for the loop to buy the Sundance pipeline from Cherokee Metropolitan District, CMD, were still underway, and she expected to hear from CMD soon. Financial report. From told the board that invoices totaling $156,000 had been received in December. The invoices were from accounting, legal, and engineering companies. The board approved payment of the invoices. He noted that the loop had received reimbursement from the El Paso Board of County Commissioners for the loop's expenses during the first and second quarters of 2025. From said $1.3 million in expenses for the third quarter had been submitted to the county for reimbursement, and the loop had received financial contributions from the participating districts. From said the loop had $510,000 in the bank. The board voted unanimously to accept FROM's financial report. The next regular meeting is scheduled for February 19 at 9 a.m. Regular meetings are held on the third Thursday of each month at 9 a.m. at the Monument Town Hall at 645 Beacon Light Road. Please see loopwater.org or call 719-488-3603 to verify meeting times and locations. James Howell can be reached at jameshowell@ocn.me. El Paso Board of County Commissioners / Land Use Committee, January 8, 13, and 20, Board, Committee Act on Variety of Projects. By Marlene Brown. The El Paso Board of County Commissioners Land Use Committee, BUC, started the new year on January 8 with several decisions. Decision 26-1, the JJ Ranch Final Plat, a 3-lot subdivision approved by the County Planning Commission on December 18, 2025, and sent to the BUC for final approval, was approved. Decision 26-2, Gleneagle View Final Plat, to plat 3 tracts into 3 commercial lots located off Struthers Road and Gleneagle Gate View was approved. Decisions 26-5 and 26-6, Hidden Creek Estates, approved the rezoning of a 3.4-acre parcel about 1.5 miles west of Hay Creek and Baptist Roads, from RR5 to RR 2.5. Neighbors spoke in opposition, citing that adding residents to the area with only one way in and out was a safety hazard. Board of County Commissioners. Decisions 26-19 through 26-26, on the consent calendar, resolutions were passed January 13 to approve and accept temporary and permanent easements for the Highway 105 widening, Lake Woodmoor to Martingale Road project. The BOCC approved a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, between the Pikes Peak Regional Office of Emergency Management, PPROEM, and the Town of Monument, TOM. Duties of the PPROEM include specified products and services to assist the TOM emergency manager, provide hands-on support in training, and in the event of a local, state, or national emergency response. On January 20, the BOCC reviewed an annexation report regarding the crossing at Monument Creek, town of Palmer Lake. The BOCC does not approve or deny annexation impact reports. The report provided by Palmer Lake notifies the county of the potential annexation request. The property is south and west of Highway 105 between Red Rock Ranch Drive and Rockbrook Road. The BOCC approved an MOU for a utility easement for the Highway 105 widening known as the Highway 105B project. The Department of Public Works is constructing a Pikes Peak Rural Transportation Authority project and identified the need to enter into an MOU between Oliver and Amy Cardenas for the acquisition of property to be utilized for construction, drainage, slope, maintenance, repair, replacement, and operation of ingress and egress of the project. The Board of County Commissioners usually meets every Tuesday at 9 a.m. at 200 South Cascade Avenue, Suite 100, Colorado Springs. The Land Use Committee meets on the second and fourth Thursdays as needed. Call 719-520-7276 for more information. Go to bocc.elpasoco.com or https://www.agendasuite.org/ip/elpaso for meeting schedules and agendas. Marlene Brown may be reached at marlenebrown@ocn.me. Northern El Paso County Coalition of Community Associations, January 24, NEPCO President urges more involvement. By Marlene Brown. The Northern El Paso County Coalition of Community Associations, NEPCO, held its general membership meeting on January 24 at the Woodmoor Barn. NEPCO is an association of homeowners associations, HOAs, in northern El Paso County, including Monument, Woodmoor, Palmer Lake, Gleneagle, and unincorporated parts of the county. There are over 50 homeowners associations in the area, with 42 current members in the area. Mike Aspenson, president, spoke about some of the reasons that NEPCO started. One is to provide an open forum for HOAs and their members to discuss issues that concern living within and managing an HOA. The board works to provide structured and proactive interaction with county planning officials and land developers, and invites guest speakers from local, county, and state governments. He urged members to become more involved and think about being on the board. There are 4 empty positions, including board observer, where you can come to the board meetings, listen, and learn about how the board works. For more information, contact info@nepco.org. Fire risk reduction. Beth Lonquist, Red Rocks Ranch, introduced Monument Fire District Division Chief Community Risk Reduction Jonathan Bradley and Division Chief of Operations Janaka Brandon. Both said that in Colorado, there is year-round fire danger. The Federal Emergency Management Administration, FEMA, suggests that everyone have a pre-evacuation plan. Get your family together, have a meeting, and discuss what you are going to do in the event of a fire and evacuation. Get your go bags ready and know what needs to be in them. Know what you are going to do with your animals. Dogs and cats, and horses, need to have a go bag and a place too. Drive your evacuation route and know where the places of refuge might be. Do not abandon your car in the middle of the road. Evacuation routes will bottleneck. One of the traffic choke points in this area is between Baptist Road and Highway 105. You don't have to wait for the evacuation order. You can leave early. Have a plan for where to go and where to meet in the event of an evacuation. Sign up yourself and your family members with cell phones with Peak Alerts. Peak Alerts is the emergency notification system used in El Paso and Teller County. https://www.elpasoteller911.org/peak-alerts. Your HOA can sign up for Chipping Day. The fire department will send a 7-member crew and a chipper to your HOA. Have a fire mitigation plan. Contact Chief Bradley, and they will come to speak to your HOA about how to be safe in an evacuation and how to set up your fire mitigation plan. Go to monumentfire.org. State Legislature News. Colorado District 20 Republican House Minority Leader Jarvis Caldwell was elected in 2024 and in 2025, at just 36 years old, was chosen by the other 21 Republican House representatives as their minority leader for the 2026 session. District 20 covers Monument, Palmer Lake, Woodmoor, the Air Force Academy, Black Forest, Gleneagle, and a portion of the unincorporated part of El Paso County. The district has about 90,000 people, with about 25% military veterans. Caldwell spoke about the state's budget shortfall of about $800 million, which he believes could be more than $1 billion. He said the state should have the following priorities: infrastructure, safety, education, and health care. He is concerned that cost increases are not going to meet actual needs. Caldwell said the State Department of Transportation needs more funding than special projects receives. You can find out more about Caldwell and the bills he has sponsored at https://leg.colorado.gov/legislators/Jarvis-Caldwell. NEPCO usually meets bi-monthly at the Barn, 1691 Woodmoor Drive, Monument. The next general membership meeting will be on March 14, 10 to noon. For more information about HOA membership to NEPCO, email membership@nepco.org or go to www.nepco.org. Marlene Brown can be contacted at marlenebrown@ocn.me. Woodmoor Improvement Association, January 26 and 28, Annual Meeting and Reorganization. By Jackie Burr Hans. The Woodmoor Improvement Association, WA, board met on January 26 for its annual meeting to elect new board members, review 2025 accomplishments, state 2026 goals, and recognize good neighbors. The board met on January 28 to certify the election, reorganize its positions, and approve operational procedures. Annual meeting. President Brian Bush called the meeting to order and covered the presentation available on the WIA website at tinyurl.com/WIA-2026-annual. Bush confirmed that a quorum was achieved via residents returning their ballots and noted that the board saved over $2,100 by not providing postage-paid envelopes and $1,000 by having staff count the votes. Bush reviewed the rules of conduct for the meeting, which he summarized as, "Be courteous, respectful, and concise." Noting that no one had submitted issues 5 days in advance, he encouraged attendees to bring up their concerns at the meeting and to turn in their ballots to elect board members. Bush reviewed the mission of WIA to perform covenant enforcement and architectural control, maintain and improve common areas, and provide public safety. He also noted that WIA monitors issues in surrounding areas that may affect its residents, such as writing a letter of opposition to the Palmer Lake Board of Trustees regarding the proposed Buc-ee's development. Bush emphasized that WIA doesn't foreclose properties or fail to work with residents on reasonable solutions, nor does it have rigid and unchanging rules and regulations. However, he said changing covenants has proved virtually impossible. Noting that board positions are unpaid, he introduced the 2025 board members and WI staff, many of whom are longtime employees. Bush announced that Covenant and Forestry Administrator Justin Gates was leaving for other opportunities, and Woodmoor Public Safety, WPS, Chief Kevin Nielsen is retiring on March 31 after 35 years of outstanding service. The WIA dues for 2026 have increased by $9 to $308 annually, which is still low compared to most homeowners associations. The biggest reasons were the cost of insurance, inflation, salaries, and common area improvements. The top 3 sources of income were dues, new construction fees, and barn and office rentals. There is not a lot left to develop in Woodmoor beyond the 6 or 7 homes in North Bay and about 41 homes at Waterside, Bush said. The top expenses are payroll, WPS, common area improvements and maintenance, and forestry, he said. Bush said that WIA's reserve fund was used in 2025 to replace a WPS vehicle, replace windows in the administrative offices, purchase new computer equipment, and install new fans in the barn. There are no scheduled reserve fund expenditures scheduled for 2026. WPS services include immediate officer response, vacation checks, crime prevention, traffic control, 24/7 patrol, and interagency support and communication. WPS can communicate directly with surrounding first responders using FirstNet, a public safety nationwide broadband network built by AT&T. All WPS personnel wear body cameras and record all incidents. In 2025, WPS drove 61,000 miles, completed over 11,000 vacation checks, and received over $19,000 in donations for vacation checks. Anecdotally, Bush said that Woodmoor experiences less crime because it has armed security patrols. Bush reminded residents that in 2023, the El Paso Board of County Commissioners had decided only to plow Priority 3 roads when snow depths reach 6 inches, which creates hazardous driving conditions. He noted that by law, WIA cannot plow county roads. Information about road priorities and an interactive map of snowplow deployment can be found at https://publicworks.elpasoco.com/snow-removal/. The top covenant violations are barking, loose or aggressive dogs and trailers or recreational vehicles left too long in resident parking lots. There were 585 total covenant issues, which resulted in 26 violations. Only 8 were escalated to a hearing, showing that WIA is committed to working with residents toward compliance over punishment, Bush said. The top architectural projects were roof repairs or replacements, followed by house painting. There were 503 total projects, down from 548, of which 99% were approved by the Architectural Control Committee, ACC, or office staff. Common area improvements included mitigating 300 cubic yards of dead trees and scrub oak, mowing, and removing noxious weeds. WIA added 4 new pet waste stations at the preserve open space and continued weekly maintenance of the waste stations, trails, and drainage in the common areas. Bush reiterated that open fires and fireworks of any kind are prohibited in Woodmoor and will result in a $5,000 fine. Bush said residents had invested around $1.3 million collectively on fire mitigation, including fuel removal and replacing shake roofs or wood siding. WIA was awarded a fire fuel reduction grant by the Colorado State Forestry Service. This 50-50 matching grant focuses on creating defensible space and removing ladder and excess fire fuels. To apply, contact the office or fill out the online form to schedule a visit and lot evaluation. Bush noted that Woodmoor has a higher wildfire risk to homes than 97% of the communities in the nation. Accomplishments, goals, and awards. In 2025, WA continued to support the D38 on the Safe Routes to School project, which now includes a bridge over the dam. Held 4 chipping days over 2 weekends at Lewis Palmer High School at no cost to residents. There will be a $20 fee for non-residents in 2026. Added a parking lot at the North Park open space. Maintained a snow fence at Toboggan Hill to prevent injuries. Eradicated prairie dogs in the South Woodmoor Preserve, which is expected to be required so long as construction continues. For 2026 goals, WIA will maintain a strong commitment to Firewise. Continue to develop trails in common areas. Enforce community standards. Continue to digitize WIA files. Continue WPS patrols and assistance. Negotiate easements with Woodmoor Water and Sanitation District on WIA land on the north side of Highway 105 as part of Phase B of the county widening project. Continue its noxious weed eradication program, focusing on mowing rather than pesticides. A last-minute nomination resulted in a Good Neighbor Award for board member Brad Gleason, who was recognized for helping with bringing packages in, clearing snow from the driveway, and being the best possible neighbor. Residents' questions and comments. Following the annual meeting presentation, residents had questions about Wild Duck Pond, the availability of 5G, an update on trails in the preserve, fencing, and a sub-association. Common Area Administrator Bob Pearsall said that removing cattails from Wild Duck Pond would require dredging. Cutler said it was on the list at low priority due to the cost. Gleason said that 5G is slowly making its way to this area by upgrading existing towers. A resident noted his expectation that trails in the preserve would extend to the east side near Bowstring. Bush said the WIA board is waiting to see what happens with nearby developments and do more analysis before building more trails and incurring maintenance costs. Another resident noted that Firewise discourages flammable materials for fencing that connects to homes, and House Bill 24-1091 prohibits homeowners associations from prohibiting fire-hardened building materials. Pearsall said that WIA allows concrete split-rail fences, and Miller noted that metal fences are allowed up to 6 feet from the house upon request, but the challenge is the cost. Finally, a resident noted that he lived in a sub-association that is defunct, and he feels trapped between WIA and his sub-association. Bush said he understood the issues and suggested the residents try to change their board. Board reorganization. At the January 28 meeting, Bush reviewed the certified election results, in which board members Rick DePaiva, Brad Gleason, and Pete Giusti were re-elected. The board directors were confirmed to continue in their roles as follows. Brian Bush, President. Peter Billy, Vice President. Pete Giusti, Treasurer. Steve Cutler, Common Areas. Jennifer Davis, Covenant Control. Rick DePaiva, Secretary and Community Outreach. Brad Gleason, Public Safety. Jason Hahn, Forestry. Ed Miller, Architectural Control. Administrative Motions. The board retained Bush, Billy, Giusti, and DePaiva as authorized signers on its financial accounts. The board voted unanimously to meet on the fourth Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m. at the barn, except that the November meeting will be on the 18th and the December meeting on the 16th due to holidays. The board set its covenant hearing dates for the second Thursday of each month at 6:15 p.m. when needed. The board set its ACC meetings for the second and fourth Thursday of each month at 7 p.m. except in December, when there will be only one meeting. The board appointed the 2026 ACC committee members. The board authorized the ACC administrator to approve certain miscellaneous projects, handle compliance fee refunds up to $500, and handle routine change orders for all projects without prior ACC approval. The board authorized the Director of Forestry to review and approve tree removal requests and Firewise lot evaluations. The board appointed a forestry committee member for 2026 and approved bringing in a former employee as an hourly consultant when needed. The WIA Board of Directors usually meets at 7 p.m. on the fourth Wednesday of each month in the barn at 1691 Woodmoor Drive, Monument. The next meeting will be on February 25. The WAA calendar can be found at www.woodmoor.org/events/. Once approved and posted, the WIA board meeting minutes can be found at www.woodmoor.org/board-of-directors// Jackie Burr Hans can be reached at jackieburhans@ocn.me. Letters to our community, the reign of Botox Barbie. Last week Christy Noem, aka Botox Barbie, spoke from a podium with the words, "One of ours. All of yours," on the front. This is a reference to fascist Nazi idea of collective punishment. It is the threat that if anyone hurts even one of Botox Barbie's ICE agents, she will punish the whole city, region, state, or nation. So, if the American people do not submit to the tyranny of the DHS and ICE, then the American people, especially those living in blue areas, will be punished for not surrendering to the fascist regime that currently occupies the White House. This destructive policy is being managed and executed by the executive branch of our government in collusion with the Republicans in Congress and the Republicans on the Supreme Court. This is Project 2025 in full erection. The United States no longer exist. Executive crime with impunity is the new standard. So, no freedom, only submission. No citizenship, only subjects. No trials, no due process, no court, no judges, and no jury. Just masked thugs without insignias, in unmarked vehicles, beating up protesters. Bring on the arbitrary and capricious. Say goodbye to progress, freedom, equality, and justice. Say hello to criminals in camouflage telling you how to live, and smirking while they shoot tear gas into your face. Say hello to being disappeared. Say hello to torture. We were once a great nation, but now we are the empire of 47. Sycophants wanted, brown-nosers welcome, gangsters invited. Oh, and especially extremely wealthy oligarchs, those are most sought after. Peasants are to be rounded up and disposed of. Hourly wage labor is no longer recognized as significant. And women, only the Botox need apply. Jim Adams. Our community news welcomes letters to the editor on topics of general interest to readers in the Tri-Lakes area. Guidelines for letters are found here. The information and opinions expressed in letters to our community are the responsibility of the letter writers and should not be interpreted as the views of OCN even if the letter writer is an OCN volunteer. When there is more than one letter, the letters are arranged in alphabetical order based on the last name of the author. Between the covers at Covered Treasures Bookstore, February is Heart Month. By the staff at Covered Treasures. Once I fell in love with books, I fell in love completely. Stephen King. Skylark. By Paula McLean, Atria, $30. Two stories of survival, set nearly 300 years apart, are connected by treks through the ancient underground tunnels of Paris. In 1664, the daughter of a master dyer at the famed Gobelin tapestry work secretly dreams of escaping her circumstances and creating her own masterpiece. When her father is unjustly imprisoned, her efforts to save him lead to her own confinement in the notorious Salpêtrière Asylum, where thousands of women are held captive and cruelly treated. But within its grim walls, she discovers a small group of brave allies, and the possibility of a life bigger than she ever imagined. In 1939, Christophe Larsen is a medical student beginning his psychiatric residency in Paris. His neighbors on the Rue de Gobelins are a Jewish family who have fled Poland. When Nazi forces descend on the city, Christophe becomes their only hope for survival. Once again, the tunnels play an important role. In the Midst of Winter. By Isabel Allende, Atria, $18.99. A lonely university professor in his 60s hits the car of a young undocumented immigrant from Guatemala. She later comes to his house, seeking help. At a loss, the professor asks for advice from a friend, a fellow academic from Chile. As these three lives intertwine, each discovers truths about themselves and unexpected love. A 40-Year Kiss. By Nicholas Butler, Sourcebooks, $17.99. Charlie and Vivian parted ways after just 4 years of marriage. Too many problems, too many struggles, even though the love didn't quite die. When Charlie returns to Wisconsin 40 years later, he's not sure what he'll find. He is sure of one thing: he must try to reconnect with Vivian to pick up the broken pieces of their past. But 40 years is a long time. It's 40 years of other relationships, 40 years of building new lives, and 40 years of long-held regrets, mistakes, and painful secrets. This is a big-hearted novel about second chances. The Princess Bride, S. Morgenstern's Tale of True Love and High Adventure. By William Goldman, Harper, $18.99. Fencing. Fighting. True love. Strong hate. Harsh revenge. A few giants. Lots of bad men. Lots of good men. A beautiful princess. Beasties monstrous and gentle. Some swell escapes and captures. Death, lies, truth, miracles, and a little sex. In short, it's about everything. If you've watched the movie more times than you can count, perhaps it's time to read the book that inspired it. The History of Love. By Nicole Krauss, W. W. Norton, $16.99. A long-lost book reappears, mysteriously connecting an old man searching for his son and a girl seeking a cure for her widowed mother's loneliness. Leo Gursky taps his radiator each evening to let his upstairs neighbor know he is still alive. But it wasn't always like this. In the Polish village of his youth, he fell in love and wrote a book. 60 years later and half a world away, 14-year-old Alma, who was named after a character in that book, undertakes an adventure to find her namesake and save her family. A Novel Bookstore. By Lawrence Koss, Europa Editions, $18.95. Ivan and Francesca decide to open a bookstore devoted to their love of books. Tucked away in a corner of Paris, the store offers a selection of literary masterpieces chosen by a top-secret committee of literary connoisseurs. To their amazement, the Little Dream store quickly proves a success, and then their troubles begin. At first, both owners shrug off the anonymous threats that come their way, but when 3 members of the supposedly secret committee are attacked, they decide to call the police. As the pieces of this puzzle fall into place, it becomes evident that Ivan and Francesca's dreams will be answered with violence. Leaving. By Roxana Robinson, W. W. Norton, $19.99. Sarah and Warren's college love story ended in a single moment. Decades later, when a chance meeting brings them together, a passion ignites, threatening the foundations of their lives. Since they parted in college, each has married, raised a family, and made a career. When they meet again, Sarah is divorced and living outside New York, while Warren is still married and living in Boston. The pair is faced with confronting the moral responsibilities of their love for their families and each other. As Long as the Lemon Trees Grow. By Zulfa Katu, Little, Brown Books for Young Readers, $16.99. 18-year-old Salama Kassab, a pharmacy student volunteering at the hospital in Homs, Syria, is desperate to find passage on a refugee boat for herself and her pregnant sister-in-law. An unflinching story of the early days of the Syrian Revolution, the story tells of devastation, not only of the village, but of the people as well. It's a heartbreaking story of a young girl, torn between whether she should leave in search of safety or stay and fight for the country she deeply loves. Wuthering Heights. By Emily Bronte, Vintage Classics, $10. There is much disagreement as to whether Wuthering Heights is a love story or not. Just in time for Valentine's Day, another film adaptation is being released, along with new printings of the book, from beautiful hardcover bindings to paperbacks and graphic novels. The dark Gothic tale of Heathcliff and Catherine, intense obsession and revenge, continues to fascinate. The New American Heart Association Cookbook. By the American Heart Association, Rodale Press, $30. This revised edition of the American Heart Association's flagship cookbook offers not only more than 800 recipes, 100 of which are new and 100 refreshed, to satisfy every palate, but also provides the most current dietary and lifestyle recommendations. The new and revised recipes are based on today's flavor profiles, eating preferences, such as Mediterranean and vegetarian, family favorites, and diverse cultural cuisines, as well as popular appliances including the air fryer, slow cooker, and instant pot. February is Heart Month. Be kind to your heart and to the hearts of those you love. Until next month, happy reading. The staff at Covered Treasures can be reached at books@ocn.me. February Library Events. Winter Adult Reading continues, Free Tax Preparation Help begins, Monument Open House. By Harriet Halbig. The library's Winter Adult Reading program continues until February 28. Anyone 18 and over can register online, ppld.org, or in person to receive a calendar featuring historic photos from our region, while supplies last. Read 30 minutes per day or attend district library programs for 30 days from January 1st to February 28th and receive a limited edition winter adult reading program mug while supplies last and a coupon for a free dessert from Crumble. Those who complete the challenge will also be entered in a grand prize drawing. Tax preparation assistance. Free tax preparation assistance will be available at 4 district libraries. The closest location to the Tri-Lakes area is Library 21C near Chapel Hills Mall. Services there will be provided by AARP Tax Aid and the hours will be from 9 to 5 on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 9 to 1 on Wednesdays. To make an appointment, call 719-257-3805. An appointment is required. For information on services at Fountain, Sand Creek, and High Prairie libraries, please see the website ppld.org. Libraries do not stock federal and state tax forms, but they can be printed from the website. Go to ppld.org and choose Research and Learn at the top of the page. Choose Taxes and specify the specific form you seek, IRS or Colorado State. Both forms and instructions are available. Monument Library Programs. Recurring programs include Storytime every Tuesday from 10:30 to 11:15 for children 3 to 7 and their parents or caregivers. Socrates Cafe Adult Discussion Group every Tuesday from 1 to 3. Pause to Read on Tuesdays from 4 to 5. Practice reading aloud and improve fluency by reading to a volunteer Pause to Read Therapy Dog. Toddler Time every Wednesday from 9:30 to 10 and 10:30 to 11 for toddlers ages 1 to 2 and their parents or caregivers. Adults are welcome at the library from 11 to noon on Thursday, February 12th, for a soup blend workshop. Join us to explore your culinary imagination as you create a unique soup blend of dry ingredients. To take home. All supplies are provided. 1 participant per registration, please. Register online or call 719-531-6333 extension 7005. The Teen Advisory Board will meet from 5 to 6 on February 12th. This is an opportunity for teens 13 to 18 to earn volunteer hours while helping to plan events at your library. You must fill out a volunteer application online to participate. Regular participation is encouraged. The Teen Craft Group will meet on Monday, February 16th, from 5 to 6. Teens ages 13 to 18 are invited to bring a craft to work on with other crafters your age. This group will meet monthly on the first and third Monday. Thursday, February 19th, from 11 to noon, adults are welcome to bring their laptop, smartphone, tablet, or other device for our device drop-in help. Please bring your device and power cords. We cannot help with installing software, removing viruses, or setting up. The third Friday Book Club sponsored by the Tri-Lakes Friends of PPLD will meet from 10:30 to 12:30 on February 20th. All are welcome to attend. This month's selection is Traces by Patricia L. Hudson. The Teen Dungeons and Dragons group will meet from 3:30 to 5:45 on Saturday, February 21st. Join your fellow teens ages 13 to 18 to go on an adventure in the world's greatest role-playing game, Dungeons and Dragons. New players and veterans alike are invited to participate. Participation is limited to 8 players and registration is required at 719-531-6333 extension 7005 or online. Monument Library will host an open house on Tuesday, February 24th from 4 to 6. All ages are welcome to meet Ruby, the Madagascar giant day gecko, and make a souvenir button of Ruby with our button maker. Feed the geese in Serenity Pond behind the library and make your own origami duck. The Monument Fiber Arts Group will meet from 10:30 to noon on Friday, February 27th. Interested in stitching, knitting, crocheting, and more? Bring your project and socialize with other crafters. Fiber arts groups are open to everyone ages 18 plus and are a great opportunity to learn about new crafts and get to know more about the Pikes Peak Library District. No registration is required, and the group is facilitated by PPLD staff. Harriet Halbig may be reached at harriethalbig@ocn.me. Palmer Lake Historical Society, January 15, 2026 Board installed at annual meeting. By Marlene Brown. The Palmer Lake Historical Society, PLHS, held its annual membership meeting and potluck supper at the Palmer Lake Town Hall on January 15, celebrating its 70th anniversary. PLHS, started in 1956, is a 501(c)(3) nonprofit organization of volunteers that work together to preserve the history of the Tri-Lakes area, with monthly programs, field trips to local historical sites, and a museum. The mission of the PLHS is to promote, preserve and protect the history of the Palmer Divide area, to include northern El Paso County, bordered by Douglas County at County Line Road, Palmer Lake, Monument, Woodmoor, Black Forest, and west to the Air Force Academy and east to the Table Rock area. PLHS board members maintain the Lucretia Vale Museum in Palmer Lake, which houses artifacts, documents, books, photos, and other items of local historical significance. The museum is located at 66 Lower Glenway Street. The hours are Wednesday 1 to 4 p.m. and Saturday 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. It's open and free to the public. Special hours can be reserved for individual and group research and tours. Call 719-559-0837. After dinner, Don Bowie of Franktown performed ragtime piano music. Ragtime piano music was made popular in the 1920s by player pianos. Bowie delighted the audience with his old-time banter and musical performance. The business meeting portion began with introductions of the current board and nominations for the board positions, which were then voted for by the membership. The 2026 board members are as follows. President, Janine Engel. Vice President, Diane Coates. Secretary, Patricia Atkins. Treasurer, Dave Powell. Museum Director, Roger Davis. Director-at-Large, Barbara Moorhead. Director-at-Large, Heather Kruger. Director-at-Large, Wayne Russert. Director-at-Large, Kathy Coffer. Diane Coates then gave the rundown of the programs slated for this year. All of the monthly programs are also free and open to the public. Some of the 2026 programs are: February, Cherokee Trail Artifacts Across the Palmer Divide. March, Fox Farming Along the Palmer Divide. April, How the Expeditions of Pike, Long, and the Spanish Put Colorado on the Map. May, Trails to the Interstate, Transportation Systems Across the Palmer Divide. June, Father's Day Ice Cream Social. PLHS meetings are usually held on the third Thursday of the month, 7 to 8:30 p.m., doors open at 6:30 p.m., at the Palmer Lake Town Hall, 28 Valley Crescent Street, free and open to the public. For full descriptions, dates, and times for future programs and information on memberships or for donating to the PLHS, visit its newly updated website, palmerdividehistory.org. Marlene Brown can be reached at marlenebrown@ocn.me. High-altitude nature and gardens, rooting out crime, how our community's flowers protect more than just plants. By Janet Sellers. We have a quiet defense system at work in our town. While we often think of flowers as mere decoration, local data and national research suggest that our community's need for its flower program and well-maintained local gardens goes beyond aesthetics. They actively deter crime. The busy streets theory, flowers versus felonies. It may sound like a stretch, but criminologists have long studied the link between beautification and safety. A theory known as busy streets suggests that when a community invests in flowers, well-maintained yards, and healthy trees, it sends a powerful psychological message to potential offenders: this area is cared for, and people are watching. Research at the University of Michigan and other institutions has shown that greening vacant lots and maintaining vibrant streetscapes can reduce violent crime by up to 30%. In our community, flower programs can encourage residents to spend more time outdoors. This creates natural surveillance. More neighbors on porches and sidewalks around town means more eyes on the street, making it much harder for criminal activity to go unnoticed. The January threat: protecting the security system. To keep our neighborhoods safe and beautiful, we have to protect the greenery that does the heavy lifting. The unusually warm weather this past December and January may have created a false spring, tricking trees and shrubs into thinking winter was over. When plants wake up too early, they lose their natural resistance to the cold. If we don't take precautions now, the next deep freeze could kill the very blossoms and branches that our plant protectors need to survive and thrive. False spring defense checklist. Winter watering: on days above 40 degrees Fahrenheit, give trees a deep soak. Hydrated roots act as a buffer against temperature swings. Insulate the thermostat, check your mulch. A 3-inch layer of wood chips keeps the soil temperature stable, preventing roots from warming up too fast and waking the tree prematurely. The 3 to 8 rule for safety. While protecting plants, keep the 3 to 8 rule in mind. Prune shrubs to no higher than 3 feet and tree canopies to no lower than 8 feet. This maintains clear sightlines for neighbors and police, eliminating hiding spots. A growing community. By tending to our gardens during this erratic winter, we aren't just saving our flowers and trees, we are maintaining the territorial reinforcement that keeps our community a safe place to live. A flourishing garden is a sign of a vigilant neighbor. So, when you see our town flowers or a neighbor watering their trees, know they aren't just gardening, they're on patrol. Janet Sellers is an avid, lazy gardening enthusiast, letting Mother Nature lead for gardening wisdom in our Tri-Lakes high desert ecosystem. Share your garden tips and stories. Janet Sellers at OCN.me. Art Matters, is our education keeping up with visual literacy? By Janet Sellers. The Alchemical Lab, how art solves life's intangible problems. The popular misconception of art is that it is a luxury, a decorative elective for the comfortable. However, when viewed through the lens of human psychology and history, art reveals itself as a pragmatic tool for survival. While logic and science can solve the physical problems of existence, hunger, disease, and shelter, art solves the internal problems of experience. It functions as a cognitive laboratory where we process complexity, regulate emotion, and reframe the narratives that govern our lives. The problem of emotional stagnation. One of life's most persistent problems is the accumulation of unprocessed emotion. Stress, grief, and trauma often lack a literal vocabulary, leaving individuals in a state of psychic paralysis. Art provides a mechanism for externalization. In the words of the psychoanalyst Carl Jung, the hands will often solve a mystery that the intellect has elaborated in vain. By transmuting a feeling into a physical form, a melody, a canvas, a sculpture, or a stanza, we move the problem from inside the mind to the outside world. This process, often called sublimation, allows the individual to observe their pain with detachment. Once a problem is objectified as a piece of art, it becomes manageable, it can be edited, shaped, and eventually put aside. The problem of tunnel vision. Life's challenges often feel unsolvable because we become trapped in narrative rigidity, the belief that there is only one way to interpret a situation. Art acts as a disruptor of this tunnel vision. When we engage with a novel or a film, we are forced to inhabit a consciousness other than our own. This perspective shifting is a form of mental flexibility training. A 2013 study published in Science suggested that reading literary fiction improves theory of mind, the capacity to understand that others have beliefs and desires different from our own. By solving the problem of empathy through art, we become more adept at navigating social conflicts and personal biases in the real world. The problem of meaninglessness. Perhaps the greatest life problem is the existential void, the feeling that life is a chaotic series of random events. Art is, fundamentally, the act of imposing order on chaos. When an artist paints or composes a symphony or a poet structures a sonnet, they are asserting that harmony can be found within noise. Philosopher Alain de Botton suggests in Art as Therapy that art serves a rebalancing function. It reminds us of what we value when the drudgery of daily life makes us forget. By highlighting beauty or articulating a specific truth, art provides a scaffolding for meaning, turning a series of hardships into a coherent story of growth. Art does not provide a roadmap, but it does provide the compass. It solves life's problems by changing the internal state of the problem solver. It builds the emotional resilience, empathy, and creative flexibility required to face an unpredictable world. As a mirror, art shows us who we are; as a window, it shows us who we might become. In either case, it moves us from passive endurance to active participation in the human experience. From a permanent investment to a flexible lease or a unique find, our community's artists offer us art experiences to bring authentic creativity into our spaces. Janet Sellers is an artist, writer, and speaker, with talks on art making, collecting, and creative strategies for artists, exhibits, and funding. Contact her for more. Janet Sellers at OCN.me. Our Community Notices. By Janet Sellers. Although we strive for accuracy in these listings, dates or times are often changed after publication. Please double-check the time and place of any event you wish to attend by calling the information number for that event. Please notify us if your event listing needs to be updated. Black ice safety. If you hit black ice, stay calm, ease off the gas, and steer gently in the direction of the skid, avoiding sudden braking or sharp turns. Use light, steady pressure on the brakes, or pump them if you don't have ABS, to slow down, and aim for areas with more traction like snow or sand if possible, as the goal is to let the vehicle slow down naturally and regain control. Traction law requirements. Colorado's winter traction law, in effect September 1 to May 31, allows tire socks, like auto sock, as an approved alternative to chains, especially during severe storms when the passenger vehicle chain law, Code 15, is enacted, requiring devices for all vehicles unless equipped with specific winter tires, M+S/mountain snowflake, and adequate tread, with hefty fines for noncompliance. All vehicles must have a minimum 3/16-inch tread depth on all tires, plus one of these on all tires, winter tires, mountain snowflake icon, all-weather rated tires, or mud and snow tires. El Paso County Property Protection Program. El Paso County has launched a new property protection program to help prevent fraudulent deed transfers and real estate scams. The program alerts property owners whenever a document is filed using their name on any property, so owners can quickly verify whether the filing is legitimate or the result of attempted fraud. Residents may register multiple name variations and household members. At this time, the program can only monitor filings made after you enroll, but officials are exploring options to expand coverage. Property records can also be reviewed in person at the county clerk and recorder's office. To learn more or register, visit the El Paso County Clerk and Recorder's Property Protection Program webpage. For more information on the PPP program, go to this link, https://clerkandrecorder.elpasoco.com/recording/property-protection. Do not remove trailblazes/markers. You will be seeing some trail markers in Fox Run Regional Park on trees. The trail markers help protect the delicate forest ecosystem because we can stay on the trail and not damage the ecosystem underneath our feet or with bicycles or horses, etc. These are traditional trail markers, especially useful and necessary in snowy, icy weather when we cannot see the actual trail. Our high desert forest climb is dependent on its skin of soil and plants to survive. When we honor this part of the forest we cannot see, the part we can see has a better chance to thrive amid us humans, the invasive species. Palmer Lake parking restrictions during snow. When there is an accumulation of 2 inches or more of snow, the parking restrictions are in effect. No person may stop, stand, or park any vehicle on any portion of a snow route, or leave, abandon, or permit to remain stalled any vehicle, which is stalled on any portion of a snow route and must take immediate action to park the vehicle lawfully. Parked vehicles must be removed from all streets within the town, including those which are not designated snow routes. Parking information details, www.townofpalmerlake.com/pw/page/parking-restrictions-during-snow. Palmer Lake requirement to keep sidewalks and adjacent areas clean. It is the duty of all owners or occupants of every premises to keep the entire area between a. the edge of the sidewalk closest to the building and b. the gutter free and clear of snow, ice, mud, dirt, debris, rubbish, and filth. The area to be cleared includes, but not be limited to, the sidewalks and curbs in front of the building, graveled areas, bricked areas, and areas around planters, benches, trees and bushes. The area to be cleared does not include flower beds, elevated planting areas, or other similar elevated areas. The area to be cleared must be cleared of snow and ice within 24 hours following the snowfall or accumulation of a snowdrift or ice. Details of the town requirements, townofpalmerlake.com. School bus safety. Drivers who pass a stopped school bus with its stop arm extended and flashing lights constitute a dangerous and life-threatening violation of traffic laws. In Colorado, you must stop for a school bus with flashing red lights and an extended stop arm, stopping at least 20 feet away, unless you are on the opposite side of a highway divided by a physical, raised, or depressed median, b. on a 2-lane road or one where painted lines, but no physical barrier, separate lanes, you must still stop, c. after stopping, you must remain stopped until the bus's lights stop flashing and it begins to move again. Colorado school buses are increasingly being equipped with automated stop arm cameras to record and catch drivers who illegally pass a stopped school bus. Recent legislation allows for the installation and use of these systems by school districts. Academy School District 20 in Colorado uses school bus cameras, including the stop-arm camera system and interior cameras, to enhance student safety and to document drivers who pass a stopped school bus with flashing lights and an extended stop arm. Gleneagle-Sertoma Grant Deadline March 15. The Gleneagle-Sertoma Club is offering $2,500 to $20,000 grants to local 501(c)(3) nonprofits serving youth, veterans, or hearing health. Priority is given to Northern El Paso County organizations. Don't miss out. Request your application today via gleneagle-sertomaclub@gmail.com. Funding begins May 15. El Paso County Trailability Program. Terrain hoppers in the nature centers at Fountain Creek and Bear Creek areas are off-road mobility vehicles that allow members of the El Paso County community and visiting guests with disabilities to experience trails previously inaccessible to them. Hike 1 to 3 miles through foothills and wetlands habitats with your friends, family, and a nature center staff or volunteer, May through October. Reservations required, participation is free. https://communityservices.elpasoco.com/trailability/. For more information on the Trailability Program, please contact Teresa Odello at 719-520-6981 or by email at theirseodello@elpasoco.com. Tri-Lakes Cares needs your support. Tri-Lakes Cares is the only food pantry and human services organization serving northern El Paso County through emergency relief and self-sufficiency programs. The community-based, volunteer-supported center is a critical resource for our neighbors in need. The best way to help support Tri-Lakes Cares is to donate. Visit https://tri-lakescars.org/donate to learn how to donate money, medical items, personal supplies, or food. Please check the web for current needs in our food pantry at https://tri-lakescars.org/donate/current-needs. Donation drop-off hours are Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. For more information about Tri-Lakes Cares or how you can help, contact Tri-Lakes Cares at 719-481-4864 or info@tri-lakescares.org. Get help in Larkspur. Larkspur Church has a food bank and care center that offer a good variety of non-perishable food items, as well as clothing for men, women, and children, some household items available too. We're here to help. If you are in need, or know someone who is, please reach out to Jeff at gethelp@larkspur.church. If you would like to donate, contact Jeff by the same email to arrange a pickup. Black Forest Log School needs your help. Please help preserve the historic school for another 103 years. New exterior damage was discovered. It has exceeded the budget renovation funds. Friends of the Black Forest Log School, a 501c3 corporation, appreciates your donation. Please send a check or bring cash to Black Forest Community Foundation, 6770 Shoup Road, Black Forest, Colorado 90808. www.beeflogschool.com. Forest and gardening volunteers needed. Friends of Fox Run Park has openings for student volunteers, and grown-ups, too, most of the year for various tasks. Besides tasks, the group offers information and skills demonstrations for each 2 to 3 hour session, and celebrates volunteers at the park with annual community events. The Tri-Lakes Cares on-site garden in Monument also needs volunteers in fall, spring, and summer. Gardening tasks include preparing garden beds, weeding, sowing seeds, and developing the compost. Bring gardening gloves, some tools will be provided on the workdays. Contact Janet Sellers at janetsellers@ocn.me or Marlene Brown at marlenebrown@ocn.me for more information. State and county volunteer opportunities. The Colorado State University Extension Office in El Paso County has several opportunities for individuals interested in volunteering. https://elpaso.extension.coloradostate.edu/volunteer-opportunities. The El Paso County Sheriff's Office Volunteer Program is composed of a collective citizens group with a true and common desire to partner with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office by volunteering their services while learning more about the internal workings of the law enforcement community. https://www.epcsheriffsoffice.com/volunteer-program/. The El Paso County Volunteer Program is a wonderful opportunity for citizens to learn about the various functions of county government as well as give back to the community. The county's numerous boards and commissions need your experience, talents, and time. https://bocc.elpasoco.com/volunteer/ Neighborhood safety. What qualifies as suspicious activity? If you see something, say something. It's vital to report to local law enforcement. Suspicious activity can refer to any incident, event, individual or activity that seems unusual or out of place. Some common examples of suspicious activities include a stranger loitering in your neighborhood or a vehicle cruising the streets repeatedly. Someone peering into cars or windows. Here's what local authorities and Colorado Department of Public Safety says is needed information. Who did you see? What did you see? When did you see it? Where did you see it? Why it is suspicious. Call 911 or your local law enforcement agency. Looking for something fun to do? Space Foundation Discovery Center, www.discoverspace.org. Car seat update. Parents can visit carsetscolorado.com to locate a nearby car seat inspection station, register their car seat and learn how to properly install their car seat or booster seat. If you can't afford a car seat for your child, Run, We Cycle, Children's Hospital Colorado, and Safe Kids Colorado Springs have programs through which families can get a free or low-cost car seat. Visit their websites for more information. Thank you for joining us for the audio versions of the articles and columns from this issue of OCN. To dive into the full articles and columns or explore more content, visit ocn.me. Don't miss out, sign up for our community newsletter to stay updated with every new post.